Hello, my name is Mike K. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Seeking Sister Wives Season 4, Episode 7. And we start the episode with Danielle and Garrett. And they're going to go look at the house that they've been building. And they're hoping to move in soon. And they've been building this house for a year and 3 months. On last week's episode, they were moving out of the camper, getting ready to move into the new house. But in this episode, the countertops aren't even put in. I'm not exactly where they technically are with the house at this moment because TLC kind of mixed the scenes up. But anyways, that's not the point. The new house has 7 bedrooms and 4.5 bathrooms. Danielle's parents are moving in with them so they can be closer to them and take care of them as they get older. There's also 2 master bedrooms for when Roberta gets here so they can take turns sharing Garrett. Danielle is excited because it's like always having one of your friends around. But in my opinion, it's a little different when you're having to share your husband with them. But okay, there is a catch about the 2 master bedrooms. So the thing is that Garrett has a room all to himself, so that's what the other master bedroom is about. So basically Danielle and Roberta will share a room together when Garrett just wants to be by himself, and then when he wants one of his wives, they'll go upstairs or wherever the other master bedroom is to spend time with him. The other will be downstairs and vice versa. Danielle says that he's the king of the house, so that's why he gets his own room. It's so wild to me, and in my opinion that wouldn't be okay, because I'm knowing the dictate of how someone's relationship should work just because it's not my relationship, but that kind of seems like that's a way for Garrett to pull further away from Danielle. That's just my opinion. They also have created a room for Roberta and Garrett's baby. Soon-to-be baby, imaginary baby, I don't know what you call it at this point. Danielle says the game plan is that Roberta will come to America, she'll get pregnant immediately, she won't get pregnant, and they'll all just live their lives together with their happy ending. In my opinion, it's not going to play out like that at all. Because what I believe, Roberta's going to come to the States, then she's going to get very homesick. If they do have a baby, Roberta may deal with postpartum depression, and it may make it 100 times worse with her being homesick than having a baby. I don't think Danielle is going to be supportive of Roberta, specifically for the fact that Danielle likes to see Roberta in pain, and she likes to envy her because Roberta has Danielle's husband basically. There's not really too much she can do about it because she agreed to it, and in a specific relationship you kind of just have to deal with the jealousy and move on with your life. I think seeing Roberta in difficult situations or seeing her in pain brings Danielle joy. Because now Roberta's dealing with what Danielle had to deal with in the past. At least when it comes to jealousy in Garrett's time. Just don't think like she hates Roberta and she wants to like spit on her grave or anything like that. But when it comes to jealousy, that's what I meant. But anyways, then Roberta's also going to have to adjust to Danielle's and Garrett's 2 kids that they already have. Danielle says that Roberta won't play like a main parent role, she'll just be more laid back. Of course take them out of danger, like correct certain behavior, but not like an authority figure. So I think that's good, but I think that's also going to add on to the pressure of Roberta being in America because it's hard to adjust to someone else's kids. On top of there being a language barrier that they have yet to get over. Danielle's parents are aware that it may not make Danielle happy because at the end of the day, I think they see it how we see it. She's just trying to keep her marriage with Garrett at all means possible. No matter what she has to do, no matter how many hurdles she has to jump over, no matter how many times she has to be flexible, that means her and Garrett get to be together, then oh well. I'm not trying to talk down on Garrett because I don't like to talk on the cast, especially since we only see 45 minutes of them every week. But Garrett does not treat Danielle how she should be treated. Danielle should be treated very well and like she's a human at bare minimum. And Danielle deserves that. She doesn't deserve to be treated as a second option. Danielle isn't a second option. And I wish she could see that so she would like remove herself from Garrett because she could find so much better in my opinion. Which that's what I've kind of recognized with all the women on the show. They don't deserve to be treated as a second option. No one does really. Everyone deserves to be loved and treated like they're human, and I don't think that's much to ask for, and if that's too much to ask from somebody, then you obviously don't need to be with them. Sorry about that rant, but that's just my opinion. Next we move on to Indian, Taryn, and Marcus. They're in the kitchen and Marcus talks about how his date with Bina went really well, but they're still dating around and looking for new partners as well. It's still dating Bina and still seeing where things go with that. couple of months before he met India, he ended up meeting a woman named Janae. I believe that's her name. I forgot to write it in my notes, so forgive me if that's not her name. But he ended up moving to Atlanta when the romance kind of just started to form and they kind of just lost connection. So now he's gonna fly her out to Florida so they can see where their relationship goes. Which, why all the women he dates live in like totally different states? Anyways, Marcus says that she's very goal-driven, ambitious, and they're that as well. So it's a good match. Which is kind of crazy to me that he's dating 2 other women and he's married to 2 other women and you have to keep them all satisfied. That seems like a full-time job, and like I doubt it's really about the relationship for him, because there's no way all of these women can be getting what they need out of Marcus if he's always having to satisfy another person, at least in my opinion. But since maybe they all live in different states, the expectation isn't necessarily there as it would be if they were like right down the street or something. But India is very uncomfortable with it. I'm not sure if Taryn's uncomfortable with it. She seems like she is, but also I feel like she's just here for the ride, so certain stuff may not even matter or bother her at this point. But like I said, India is uncomfortable, especially because there was already previous history before India came into the picture, and she feels like Janae would have not moved away. She would never came into the picture, so I guess she's kind of afraid that her spot is going to be taken. And I truly believe if India is not the center of the attention of Marcus's world, that she doesn't want anybody else in the world that she and Marcus has. Like, as long as everyone's a side character, it's fine, but once the main character has to get switched up every now and again, India doesn't like that, and it's kind of like she still has this monogamous, I guess is the word, mindset when it comes to this relationship with Marcus. Isn't in that mindset and he's in this polygamy mindset, or just in a mindset of just wanting sex, but whatever they would like to call it. But anyways, Marcus never let Janae know about the whole polygamy situation they got going on, and that's something they have to tell her. And he says he just never got the opportunity, but when it comes to something like that, you need to make the opportunity to tell somebody, because that's a pretty big thing. In my opinion, that's almost as big as telling someone you have kids. Like, that can make or break where y'all's relationship goes. So I feel like he should have made time to tell her that, but then also maybe he'll tell her once they meet in person for the first time again. And when Janae gets here, Marcus is going to take her to the Airbnb, and India and Taryn asked if he's going to do any decorating, and he says yeah, maybe some roses on the bed or something, and India immediately stopped him in his tracks, like, why would you put roses on the bed if y'all are just going to eat dinner and conversate? Which India is making sense, but it's all about sex for Marcus, nothing else. And I just don't understand how they can't realize it, but we can. Maybe because he plays on a different act for them, or gives them something that they want, or whatever the situation is, but I wish they would realize that and just come to their senses. Then a curfew comes up. Marcus has a curfew, and this curfew came in the beginning of India and Marcus's relationship when they just started dating. But in the beginning, they were monogamous. And of course, now they're not, so those rules kind of don't apply to Marcus anymore, I guess. And Marcus is basically kind of saying, I'm not going to purposely spend the night there and go out my way, but if we're having a good conversation, why would not continue on and get to know each other more? India doesn't want that, because I think she's truly afraid of Marcus falling out of love with her, and the same thing happening to her that happened to Taryn. So because of that fear, she doesn't want him to date, but she wants him to date so he can still be happy, but she doesn't want him falling in love with someone else. That's basically what I'm getting the vibe of. Also, she's kind of holding him to monogamous standards, which that would be fine if they're in a monogamous relationship, but they're not. And I rarely agree with Marcus, but if you're gonna be in a polygamous relationship, you also have to deal with the cons of it, just like with anything else in life. But in the end, they really come to no conclusion, because it's all about sex for Marcus, and I believe they use polygamy as a cover-up for them just wanting to have sex with different women, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to be open and honest about that and just not cover it up with polygamy. Because I am pretty sure there are real families out there who do polygamy, but like in a more right way, or whatever you want to call it, who are probably offended by this, because polygamy usually wouldn't go like this. I'm not sure how polygamy is supposed to go, but I'm not sure it's just because you want to have sex with a bunch of different women. I know I went on a rant, but my point is that just be honest about what you really want, and it will make life go so much smoother. Let's move on to City and Tosh, and it's the morning after City and Ariel's date, and Ariel confirmed they did have sex, so I guess City got what he wanted, and it was really organic and really natural, and they both said about their their relationship through like the whole episode we have seen them together. I guess that's a sign that this is really going well for them, but I'm not sure how long it's gonna last. Anyways, they get ready and they go on this boat to go have breakfast. Sidian is really excited to explore the Philippines with Ariel. A little off track and a little random, but is it Ariel or Ariel? I'm not sure which one it is. Anyways, once they get to the island, or it really just looked like the other half of the beach that they were on, but we're just gonna call it an island. Anyways, once they're on the island, or the other half of the beach, or whatever it is, they sit down and they ask each other how does it feel to be near each other, just be around each other for the first time. They both says it feels really good and better than they expected. Then they go and sit for breakfast, and Ariel is introducing him the new foods from her country. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it was like wrapped in like a banana leaf, and I believe it was like rice and something else. I wasn't paying that close attention to the food, or really this whole scene in general. But anyway, Sidian's excited to be introduced to new foods and just a really new culture in general, because I believe he enjoys learning things about other cultures and really just other people. And not like in a Nick way, more in like a normal human way, if that makes sense. Both hoping something good comes out of it, and Ariel is more interested now keeping their relationship going and making it work out more than she would have in the beginning. Next, we move back around to Marcus, Taryn, and India, and they're still having the same conversation about the whole dating, and how India is just very uncomfortable with it overall. They talk about moving in, and neither Taryn or India are comfortable with another woman moving in, just because that would be way too many people, because it would be them, Marcus, and the 3 other kids in the house. I could understand why if one person were to move in, somebody else would move out. India does end up saying that if another person were to move in, that she would move out. I also think it would be about like a power struggle for India and jealousy. Like I said, Taryn also agrees, and she just thinks that's the max capacity because that would just be too many people, and I do agree. Marcus says that makes him feel insecure in his spot, and then he's not down with that, and he doesn't want any of his wives to move out. Then India and Marcus go upstairs to talk by themselves about the whole situation when it comes to dating. And it's a trigger for Marcus when India says that she's gonna move out, because when Marcus and India weren't on the best of terms, she would threaten him with that. So when she says that, it makes him feel like he's not secure in his spot. But it's also a trigger for India when Marcus goes out and stays out till 3 in the morning. What exactly is he doing at 3 in the morning? Like, I don't want to accuse him of anything because there's not enough room to assume, but could have possibly been cheating or doing something that he wasn't telling India about that would make that an issue for her. But they come to no real conclusion. They just want everyone to be happy and to be respected and boundaries not to be crossed, which I don't even know if Taryn even has boundaries at this point, but she's just going along with it. And I believe I talked about this in my last video about how Taryn believes that she can't do anything without Marcus. She's just pitiful and miserable and nothing, but she's not. So I feel like that's why she stays in this relationship, not because she actually cares for Marcus and loves him, wants to be with him, just because she feels like she's nothing without him. It's really sad. But anyways, move on to the Davis family, and it's the next night after Jennifer and Nick had a good time, meaning they had sex. That's what they said. I'm not the one who came up with that, by the way, which, don't get me wrong, I get it, it's TV and you want to tell the full truth in your story. A lot of the stuff I wish they wouldn't tell us. Like, every time Nick talks about his sex life with all these different wives, I want to bang my head against a brick wall because it's just so unnecessary to go into details about it. Anyways, Nick and Danielle go outside by themselves, and he's sitting Danielle down and explaining that he doesn't marry his wives marry each other. Which, that makes me feel like Nick has like some type of shady business going on or something. It's like scamming these women. Like, I don't really know, just because like, why wouldn't you marry them? He's not even married to Jennifer, and we know Jennifer is his favorite, so I feel like there's like some shady business going on. And like, give it another 2 or 3 months, Starcasm is gonna come out like some random article saying like Nick owes like back child support or something like that. But anyways, the even weirder part this whole thing is they take Nick's last name. Danielle won't get married to him. Danielle will have to wait till they find their other sister wife to get married. I guess legally be committed to Nick, even though they aren't even legally committed. Even after that, she's legally committed to his other sister. So it was really just like one big mess. Then he asks Danielle how she feels about it, and after a long silence, Danielle says she's not opposed to it. She just doesn't understand how that will work, and she really can't even envision herself doing that, but she's not against it, and she's definitely open-minded to it. And all that screams to me is just, I'm uncomfortable with something, but I really want this relationship to work out. I'm just gonna push through with it and hope for the best in the end. and Jennifer and April come outside and they sit down and talk about the whole marrying each other. They do it like that so they're all committed to each other but without jealousy. Marriage is just a piece of document. I also get that because if one wife were to be married to him, then that means he's the favorite or he favored towards her. I get that, but ultimately the whole situation is just really messed up in my opinion. It doesn't really make too much sense to me. Polygamy is kind of confusing to me in general. So let's move on to Danielle and Garrett, and they're finally able to move into their new house, which is a pretty house and it's super nice and like put together pretty well. One thing I can say good about Garrett and Danielle is that you know how to build and decorate a good house. And I don't know if I explained this earlier or not, but anytime one of the wives want to go spend time with him, they have to go upstairs to Garrett's bedroom and spend time with him there, and Roberta and Danielle will share a room. I honestly laugh because it's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. I feel like it would be better if Danielle and Roberta had separate rooms, or one of them had a room, whether it was Roberta or Danielle, because then it would go better. Now you're bunkies with your husband's other wife. Like, that's just funny to me and super weird. But anyways, Garrett and Danielle decide to sit down and call Roberta, but the call does not end up working. It's really hard when that doesn't happen because these are times where they need communication with her, and they feel like she's kind of just dragging her feet on the whole situation, trying to get over to America and really just the relationship in general. And I personally think Roberta isn't ready to do this. I don't know if she even wants to do this anymore, because I think what may have happened is once they came and saw each other, really kicked into Roberta like what the situation was going to be, and then she realized that she really didn't want to do that. And then on top of the Leah situation, them going against her wishes, I think that was really just the cherry on top. And I also think this is her way of removing herself from the situation without necessarily being upfront with it like Leah was. Last, we move on to the Davis family. I've been dreading this scene since I seen it last week on the preview for this episode. I don't even want to talk about it, so I'm just gonna sum it up. They basically all get in this hot tub. Jennifer, April, Danielle, and Nick. And Nick is just filling on all his wives and like all their butts are out. It would usually nothing be wrong with that if the cameras weren't there. Like, I don't care what people do when people aren't watching and all of that. This was way too much. For all to describe the scene, it was just one big orgy. That's exactly what it looked like, and sorry if you expected me to go really in detail about this scene, but I couldn't pull myself to do so. Eventually, at the end of the scene, Danielle and Nick get there a long time because Jennifer and April decide to get the hot tub so they can. Guess they have sex in the hot tub, which is super disgusting, knowing that they probably aren't the first and won't be the last to do so. But yeah, that was the end of the episode. I give it a 0 out of 10, but simply because of the hot tub scene. I could have gone my whole life without seeing that. I feel like I need some type of like reparations or whatever it's called or anything at this point, because I had to watch that scene never again. To enjoy the episode, like, comment, subscribe if you want, and bye.